Question 1. Topic. Rules of engagement. Row and law of armed conflict. During an emergency response where multiple areas are impacted, a military commander orders an airstrike on an enemy position. Intelligence suggests that the target is a legitimate military objective, but there is a high risk of civilian casualties. The rules of engagement. Row state that all feasible precautions must be taken to minimize civilian harm. What principle governs the commander's decision in this situation? A. The principle of military necessity, which justifies any action needed to weaken the enemy. B. The principle of proportionality, which requires that civilian harm is not excessive in relation to the anticipated military advantage. C. The principle of unrestricted warfare, which allows complete destruction of enemy-controlled areas. D. The principle of retaliation, which permits striking back with equal or greater force after an attack. Answer. B. The principle of proportionality, which requires that civilian harm is not excessive in relation to the anticipated military advantage. Explanation. This question tests the candidate's knowledge of international humanitarian law and the law of armed conflict. The principle of proportionality is core component of Article 51(5)(b) of Additional Protocol I to the Geneva Conventions. A. Incorrect. Military necessity permits actions that are essential to weaken the enemy, but it does not override proportionality. Commanders must still consider civilian harm. B. Correct. Proportionality ensures that civilian casualties are not excessive compared to the expected military advantage. This is fundamental principle under Locke and Rowe. C. Incorrect. Unrestricted warfare is illegal under modern international law. The Geneva Conventions prohibit indiscriminate attacks. D. Incorrect. Retaliation is not lawful justification for attacks under international law, particularly when civilians are involved. Understanding this principle is critical for military leadership and decision-making in combat scenarios. Question 2. Topic. Court-martial system. When developing a solution that must address opposing needs, military legal authorities must ensure that court-martial procedures balance both the efficiency of military justice and the protection of service members' rights. In a particular case, a service member is facing charges under the Uniform Code of Military Justice for alleged misconduct. The defense argues that the accused's right to due process is being compromised by the expedited nature of the proceedings. What is the most appropriate legal safeguard available to the accused in this situation? A. The accused may demand a civilian jury trial instead of a court-martial. B. The accused has the right to challenge unlawful command influence USI under military justice regulations. C. The accused can refuse to be tried under military jurisdiction and demand a civilian trial. D. The accused can invoke martial law protections, which override military judicial procedures. Answer. B. The accused has the right to challenge unlawful command influence USI under military justice regulations. Explanation. This question tests the candidate's understanding of military due process under the UPNJ and the constitutional rights of service members. A. Incorrect. Service members do not have an automatic right to civilian jury trial in military cases. The UPNJ governs military trials, which are distinct from civilian courts. B. Correct. Unlawful command influence USI occurs when senior military officials improperly interfere in judicial proceedings. Article 37 of the UPNJ prohibits commanders from influencing court-martial outcomes. Service member has the right to challenge USI if their trial appears biased. C. Incorrect. Military personnel are subject to military jurisdiction for offences under the UPNJ. They cannot unilaterally opt for civilian trial. D. Incorrect. Martial law is a separate legal framework that applies in extraordinary national emergencies, but it does not over standard military justice procedures. This concept is critical for students to understand fair trial rights within the military legal system. Question 3. Topic. Military criminal investigations and intelligence law. While investigating a complicated issue between different military branches, a classified intelligence leak is discovered. A military officer is suspected of unauthorized disclosure of sensitive information related to national security. The officer claims protection under the First Amendment, arguing that the information was shared for whistleblower purposes. However, the government asserts that the leak compromised classified operations. Under U.S. military law, what legal standard determines whether the officer's disclosure was unlawful? A. The officer's intent. If the disclosure was meant to expose wrongdoing, it is protected. B. The classification level of the information. If the disclosed material was classified, the officer is guilty regardless of intent. C. The harm test. If the disclosure poses substantial risk to national security, it is unlawful. D. The posse comitatus doctrine. Military personnel are exempt from criminal charges for intelligence-related disclosures. Answer C. The harm test. If the disclosure poses substantial risk to national security, it is unlawful. Explanation. This question evaluates the legal boundaries of classified information disclosures and whistleblower protections in military context. A. Incorrect. Intent alone does not determine legality. While whistleblower laws exist, they do not protect unauthorized releases of classified intelligence that pose national security risks. B. Incorrect. The classification level of information matters, but it is not the sole determining factor. Courts consider whether the disclosure actually caused harm. C. Correct. The harm test evaluates whether disclosure of classified material poses real, substantial risk to national security. This test is used in cases under 18 U.S.C. SS 793, Espionage Act, and Article 134 of the UPJ. If the disclosure caused or could cause damage to national security, it is punishable under military and federal law. D. Incorrect. The Posse Comitatus Act limits military involvement in civilian law enforcement, but it does not provide immunity for intelligence leaks. This case highlights the balance between national security and individual rights. Military law. Question 4. During a critical transition period where existing processes are being re-evaluated for compliance with military law, a commanding officer issues an order that directly contradicts an established rule of engagement, ROE, under the law of armed conflict. Like, the order instructs a unit to engage in an operation that would violate the principle of proportionality, resulting in excessive civilian casualties compared to the expected military advantage. The officer claims the operation is necessary for mission success and dismisses concerns raised by the unit's legal advisor. What legal and ethical obligations do service members have in this situation? A. Follow the order as given, since disobeying direct command constitutes insubordination under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. B. Report the violation to superior or appropriate legal authority but still comply with the order to avoid disciplinary action. C. Refuse to follow the order and immediately report the issue through the chain of command or legal channels, as compliance would constitute war crime. D. Follow the order, document their concerns for potential review in court-martial proceeding later. Answer C. Refuse to follow the order and immediately report the issue through the chain of command or legal channels, as compliance would constitute a war crime. Explanation. Under rules of engagement, ROE, and the law of armed conflict, like military personnel must adhere to the principles of proportionality, necessity, distinction, and avoidance of unnecessary suffering. The principle of proportionality, as outlined in the Geneva Conventions and the protocols, prohibits attacks where civilian harm is excessive in relation to the anticipated military gain. The UPJ 10 U.S. Code SS 892. Article 92 states that military personnel are obligated to follow lawful orders, but must refuse to obey unlawful orders. The Nuremberg trials and subsequent international rulings have reinforced the principle that just following orders is not valid defense for war crimes. Compliance with an unlawful order exposes service members to criminal liability. Option is incorrect because military law does not permit obedience to unlawful orders. Insubordination is punishable under Article 92, but only for disobeying lawful orders. Option B is incorrect because reporting the violation does not absolve service member from responsibility if they knowingly carry out an unlawful act. Option D is incorrect because documenting concerns does not excuse participation in an illegal action. Military personnel must refuse the order outright. Question 5. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges arise simultaneously, a U.S. military intelligence officer intercepts communications suggesting that an allied foreign force intends to conduct an operation that may violate international military law. The officer's superior instructs them to suppress this intelligence to maintain diplomatic relations, warning that revealing it could damage U.S. strategic alliances. However, the officer is aware that withholding such information could result in indirect complicity in potential war crimes. What is the officer's best legal course of action under military intelligence law? A. Comply with the order, as intelligence officers are bound by national security protocols and classified information regulations. B. Leak the information to an international human rights organization anonymously, ensuring that the violation is exposed while avoiding personal legal repercussions. C. Report the intelligence up the chain of command and, if necessary, invoke whistleblower protections under military law to ensure compliance with obligations. D. Take no action, as the responsibility for potential war crimes belongs to the foreign force, not U.S. military personnel. Answer. C. Report the intelligence up the chain of command and, if necessary, invoke whistleblower protections under military law to ensure compliance with legal obligations. Explanation. Military intelligence officers operate under U.S. national security law, the UNCLOS, and international treaties like the Geneva Conventions. If they become aware of potential war crimes, they are obligated to report the matter under international law principles and military legal standards. The U.S. Whistleblower Protection Act and military whistleblower provisions 10 U.S. Code SS 1034 protect service members who report unlawful activities. Ignoring such intelligence may be considered complicity under the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, which prohibits knowledge-based failure to act. Option is incorrect because suppressing evidence of potential war crime violates both military and international law. Option B is incorrect because leaking classified information violates the Espionage Act and military security protocols, even if the intent is noble. Option D is incorrect because knowledge of an impending violation creates an obligation to act. Failure to do so could be deemed aiding and abetting war crime. Question 6. While analyzing the root causes of sequential problems in military discipline, a legal review finds that multiple commanding officers have been granting unlawful non-judicial punishments under Article 15 of the UNCLOS. These punishments include excessive physical discipline, denial of necessary medical treatment, and the use of public humiliation tactics. When questioned, commanders justify these actions as corrective training necessary to maintain strict discipline in high-risk operations. What legal framework governs non-judicial punishment, and what actions should be taken? Commanders have full discretion under Article 15, so these actions are legal as long as they aim to maintain unit discipline. B. These actions violate UNCLOS provisions and should be formally reported, as non-judicial punishment must comply with military regulations and human rights standards. C. The affected service members should accept the punishment and seek redress only after completing their service obligations. D. If the punishments result in permanent physical harm, they do not constitute legal violation. Answer. B. These actions violate UNCLOS provisions and should be formally reported, as non-judicial punishment must comply with military regulations and human rights standards. Explanation. Under Article 15 of the UNCLOS 10 U.S. Code SS 815, non-judicial punishment (NJP) allows commanders to discipline service members without court-martial for minor offenses. However, NJP must comply with military law and human rights protections. Excessive physical discipline, medical neglect, and humiliation are unlawful. The Dutch Law of War Manual and Geneva Conventions prohibit inhumane treatment. Furthermore, U.S. military regulations prohibit cruel and unusual punishments, aligning with the Eighth Amendment's principles. Option is incorrect because commander discretion does not override legal protections. Option C is incorrect because affected service members have the right to report misconduct immediately. Option D is incorrect because legality is not determined solely by physical harm. Humiliation, deprivation, and excessive punishment all violate military and international law. Question 7. Amidst a rapidly evolving scenario requiring immediate response, a special operations team is ordered to detain a high-value target in a foreign country. However, the host nation's laws strictly prohibit military detentions without prior diplomatic approval. The unit's commanding officer insists that operational security takes precedence over local legal considerations and orders the team to proceed with the capture. Team leader, aware of international sovereignty laws, raises concerns about the legality of the mission. What is the most legally sound course of action for the team? A. Proceed with the mission as orders from a commanding officer override host nation laws in operational settings. B. Seek confirmation from higher military and legal authorities before executing the mission to ensure compliance with international law. C. Conduct the operation covertly to minimize political repercussions while ensuring mission success. D. Refuse to carry out the operation entirely, as any military action in a foreign country with approval is a violation of sovereignty. Answer. B. Seek confirmation from higher military and legal authorities before executing the mission to ensure compliance with international law. Explanation. Military operations conducted in foreign nations are governed by international sovereignty laws, the Geneva Conventions, and Status of Forces agreements. So, for detaining an individual in a sovereign country without legal approval may constitute an act of aggression or a breach of inter or potentially leading to diplomatic conflicts or legal actions against military personnel. The Uniform Code of Military Justice, Article 92, failure to obey a lawful order or regulation applies in these situations. While operational security is critical, it does not override legal requirements. Option is incorrect because military orders must comply with international law. Option C is incorrect because conducting covert operations in defiance of host nation laws exacerbates legal and diplomatic risks. Option D is incorrect because outright refusal could be premature. Verifying legality with higher authorities is the correct step before making decision. Question 8. Faced with the challenge of ensuring both national security and individual rights, a military intelligence analyst discovers evidence that a fellow service member is engaged in activities that could compromise classified information. Yet evidence is circumstantial, relying on metadata analysis rather than direct proof. Reporting the case without conclusive evidence could lead to unwarranted disciplinary action, but failing to report could pose national security risk. What is the most appropriate action based on military legal and ethical standards? A. Report the service member immediately, as even circumstantial evidence is sufficient in matters of national security. B. Conduct further independent investigation to gather more concrete proof before making a report. C. Consult with a superior officer or military legal advisor to determine the appropriate course of action based on existing regulations. D. Take no action, as metadata alone is insufficient evidence to justify a report. Answer: C. Consult with a superior officer or military legal advisor to determine the appropriate course of action based on existing regulations. Explanation: in cases involving classified information and potential security breaches, service members must balance due process rights with national security interests. The Uniform Code of Military Justice, Article 103, Espionage and Related Offences outlines strict for leaking classified material. Allegations must be substantiated before action is taken. Option is incorrect because acting without sufficient evidence could lead to false accusations and violate the accused's rights under the option. Option B is incorrect because individual intelligence analysts do not have independent investigative authority. Only authorized personnel may conduct investigations. Option D is incorrect because failing to act in potential national security breach could lead to complicity in espionage or security violations. Consulting superior officer or legal advisor ensures proper procedures are followed while maintaining both security and justice. Question 9. While addressing a complex problem in military procurement, a contracting officer discovers that a senior official has been awarding defense contracts to a private company in exchange for financial kickbacks. The officer gathers evidence, including internal emails and financial records, and considers filing a report. However, the senior official warns the officer that exposing the scheme will result in career-ending retaliation. What is the legally and ethically appropriate course of action for the officer? A. File an anonymous report with the military inspector general or legal authorities to expose the corruption while minimizing personal risk. B. Confront the senior official privately to demand an end to the illegal activities without involving external authorities. C. Remain silent to avoid personal and professional repercussions as challenging. A high-ranking official could be career damaging. D. Attempt to handle the matter internally within the procurement before escalating to external authorities. Answer: A. File an anonymous report with the military inspector general or legal authorities to expose the corruption while minimizing personal risk. Explanation: under the U.S. Military Whistleblower Protection Act 10 U.S. Code SS 1034, service members are protected from retaliation when reporting fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption. Bribery and financial kickbacks in military contracting violate both Article 132. Fraud against the United States and federal anti-corruption laws such as the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act FEPA and 18 U.S. Code SS 201, bribery of public officials. Option B is incorrect because private confrontation lacks legal enforcement and may result in evidence destruction or increased retaliation. Option C is incorrect because silence enables corruption and exposes the officer to legal liability if they are found to have known and not reported the crime. Option D is incorrect because internal resolution efforts are ineffective when senior officials are involved in misconduct. Reporting through anonymous and protected legal channels ensures the issue is addressed while safeguarding the officer from retaliation. Question 10. Amid evolving geopolitical challenges, a U.S. naval vessel receives an emergency distress call from a civilian ship in international waters. The distress message indicates that the ship is carrying political refugees fleeing persecution. The captain must decide whether to grant asylum or follow standard procedures, which require reporting to the nearest coastal nation. However, intelligence reports suggest that returning the refugees to the nearest country may lead to their persecution or harm. The captain's most legally sound course of action: A. Immediately grant asylum aboard the U.S. naval vessel, as protecting refugees from persecution aligns with international human rights law. B. Follow standard protocol by contacting the nearest coastal authority, as naval procedures prioritize maintaining sovereignty agreements. C. Seek immediate guidance from higher command while ensuring the refugee's safety, considering both international law and military protocols. D. Deny asylum and escort the civilian vessel to nearest national waters to maintain diplomatic neutrality. Answer: C. Seek immediate guidance from higher command while ensuring the refugee's safety, considering both international law and military protocols. Explanation: under the 1951 Refugee Convention and the U.S. Navy's Law of the Sea regulations, commanders must balance humanitarian obligations with operational and diplomatic considerations. Naval commanders do not have unilateral authority to grant asylum, but are responsible for preventing harm to distressed persons at sea. Option is incorrect because granting asylum requires approval from higher authorities. Option B is incorrect because if the coastal nation poses a threat to the refugees, forcing them to return would violate non-refoulement principles under international law. Option D is incorrect because ignoring a distress call and refusing asylum violates humanitarian responsibilities. By contacting higher command, the captain ensures compliance with military legal protocols and international human rights obligations. Question 11. While investigating a complicated issue between different departments, a team discovers that conflicting priorities are leading to delays in project completion. The finance department prioritizes cost control, while the operations team focuses on speed and efficiency. If these misalignments persist, the organization risks missing critical deadlines and budget constraints. What is the best approach to resolving this issue? A. Implement a strict budget limit and require all teams to adhere to financial guidelines. B. Prioritize the needs of the operations team to ensure deadlines are met at any cost. C. Facilitate a structured negotiation between finance and operations to align their goals. D. Allow each department to proceed independently, adjusting as needed when conflicts arise. Answer: C. Facilitate a structured negotiation between finance and operations to align their goals. Explanation: cross-departmental conflicts often arise due to differing priorities, and collaborative problem-solving is the best approach. A structured negotiation encourages transparency about financial and operational needs, allows both teams to find common ground rather than working in isolation, prevents inefficiencies that come from uncoordinated efforts. Option is incorrect because rigid budget limits might hinder efficiency and create operational bottlenecks. Option B is incorrect because prioritizing speed over financial control risks exceeding budgets. Option D is incorrect because allowing independent action may lead to further misalignment. Question 12. During a critical transition period where existing processes are being replaced with automation, employees express concerns about job security and training requirements. What is the most effective way to ensure a smooth transition? A. Reassure employees that automation will not impact their roles, even if changes occur. B. Provide comprehensive training and involve employees in the transition process. C. Replace existing staff with automation specialists to ensure a seamless switch. D. Proceed with the automation process without employee input to maintain efficiency. Answer: B. Provide comprehensive training and involve employees in the transition process. Explanation: successful automation requires both technological adaptation and workforce integration. Training employees ensures they remain valuable in the new system and reduces resistance to change. Option is incorrect because making false reassurances can erode trust if job roles change. Option C is incorrect because replacing staff entirely can increase resistance and legal issues. Option D is incorrect because excluding employees can reduce adoption rates and create operational gaps. Question 13. In a multi-location scenario where consistency requirements are high, one branch is outperforming others due to local adaptations that conflict with corporate policies. How should leadership respond? A. Standardize all processes strictly to ensure uniformity across all locations. B. Study the successful branches' methods and selectively implement them company-wide. C. Require the high-performing branch to revert to corporate standards. D. Allow each branch to operate independently without corporate oversight. Answer: B. Study the successful branches' methods and selectively implement them company-wide. Explanation: organizations should remain adaptable while maintaining consistency. Learning from successful adaptations and integrating them into broader policies ensures performance improvements across all locations. Balance between local flexibility and corporate structure. Option is incorrect because enforcing uniformity can suppress innovation. Option C is incorrect because forcing the branch to conform may eliminate useful improvements. Option D is incorrect because complete independence risks brand and quality inconsistencies. Question 14. While analyzing the root causes of sequential problems in a logistics chain, a team finds that delays occur at multiple points due to unforeseen dependencies. How should the organization address these issues? A. Isolate each delay and resolve them one by one. B. Identify systemic patterns and redesign the logistics workflow accordingly. C. Increase buffer times at every stage to compensate for delays. D. Focus only on the most critical delay points to maximize efficiency. Answer: B. Identify systemic patterns and redesign the logistics workflow accordingly. Explanation: addressing logistics issues at a systemic level is the most effective solution. Analyzing patterns helps eliminate recurring problems rather than applying short-term fixes. Option is incorrect because resolving each delay in isolation may not address underlying systemic issues. Option C is incorrect because adding buffers increases costs without solving the root problem. Option D is incorrect because focusing only on critical delays may leave other inefficiencies unaddressed. Question 15. When implementing backup procedures across various departments, it discovers that different teams rely on incompatible systems. What is the most effective approach to ensure a reliable backup process? A. Require all teams to transition to a single backup system for standardization. B. Develop an integration plan that allows different systems to communicate effectively. C. Assign backup responsibilities to individual departments without centralized control. D. Allow teams to manage backups independently based on their preferences. Answer: B. Develop an integration plan that allows different systems to communicate effectively. Explanation: organizations often use diverse systems, making integration the best approach. Interoperability allows for efficient data recovery, minimal disruption across departments. Option is incorrect because forcing standardization can disrupt existing workflows. Option C is incorrect because decentralized backups may lack coordination and security. Option D is incorrect because independent backups increase data fragmentation risks. Question 16. In an environment where different components must interact seamlessly, unexpected communication breakdowns cause intermittent failures. What is the best long-term solution? A. Improve monitoring tools to detect and address failures as they occur. B. Redesign the system architecture to enhance communication reliability. C. Increase redundancy to reduce the impact of failures. D. Assign manual oversight to detect failures before they escalate. Answer: B. Redesign the system architecture to enhance communication reliability. Explanation: communication failures require structural improvements, not just monitoring. A redesigned architecture prevents failures before they happen, improves scalability and efficiency. Option is incorrect because monitoring only detects, not prevents issues. Option C is incorrect because redundancy adds cost but does not solve root problems. Option D is incorrect because manual oversight is inefficient in complex systems. Question 17. During a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement, analysts discover that a crucial step significantly slows down operations. What is the best course of action? A. Eliminate the step to increase efficiency immediately. B. Investigate the necessity of the step and explore alternatives before making changes. C. Require all employees to work faster to compensate for the slowdown. D. Assign additional resources to speed up the process without modifying it. Answer: B. Investigate the necessity of the step and explore alternatives before making changes. Explanation. Before eliminating a process step, a full evaluation is necessary to determine if it serves a critical function. Improvement should balance efficiency and effectiveness rather than making hasty eliminations. Option A is incorrect because removing a step without understanding its role may cause unintended consequences. Option C is incorrect because increasing work speed does not solve the underlying inefficiency. Option D is incorrect because assigning more resources is a temporary fix rather than a long-term solution. Question 18. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges require simultaneous attention, decision-makers struggle to allocate resources effectively. What approach ensures optimal resource distribution? A. Prioritize the most urgent tasks while postponing less critical ones. B. Distribute resources evenly across all tasks to maintain balance. C. Use a strategic assessment framework to align resources with key priorities. D. Allocate resources based on past performance rather than current needs. Answer. C. Use a strategic assessment framework to align resources with key priorities. Explanation. Strategic frameworks, such as risk impact analysis, ensure that resources are allocated based on importance and urgency rather than just distributing them randomly. This approach ensures that high-impact areas receive sufficient support. Option A is incorrect because focusing only on urgency may ignore long-term priorities. Option B is incorrect because equal distribution may not reflect actual needs. Option D is incorrect because past performance does not always indicate current priorities. Question 19. When developing a solution that must address opposing needs from different stakeholders, what is the best strategy to ensure success? A. Compromise equally so that all parties receive the same level of concessions. B. Analyze stakeholder needs and create a solution that maximizes shared benefits. C. Prioritize the needs of the most influential stakeholder. D. Implement a rotating decision-making approach to satisfy all parties over time. Answer. B. Analyze stakeholder needs and create a solution that maximizes shared benefits. Explanation. Successful stakeholder management requires understanding shared goals and designing a solution that benefits all rather than just compromising. This prevents dissatisfaction and resistance while fostering collaboration. Option is incorrect because equal compromises may not create the best outcome. Option C is incorrect because prioritizing one group alienates others. Option D is incorrect because rotating decisions may create inconsistency. Question 20. While examining inconsistencies across various units, an organization finds significant differences in performance and reporting accuracy. What is the most effective response? A. Standardize all reporting metrics to ensure uniformity across all units. B. Allow each unit to maintain its own reporting style to reflect unique challenges. C. Focus on improving the weakest unit before addressing inconsistencies. D. Investigate why the inconsistencies exist and adapt best practices accordingly. Answer. D. Investigate why the inconsistencies exist and adapt best practices accordingly. An explanation. Understanding the root cause helps determine whether inconsistencies are justified or problematic. Applying best practices from high-performing units ensures organizational-wide improvement. Option is incorrect because strict standardization may not consider operational differences. Option B is incorrect because allowing complete autonomy reduces overall reliability. Option C is incorrect because focusing only on weaknesses ignores potential strengths. Question 21. During an emergency response where multiple areas are impacted, coordination between teams becomes chaotic. What is the best approach to restoring efficiency? A. Assign a central command structure to coordinate efforts and communication. B. Allow teams to self-organize to address the most urgent issues. C. Focus resources only on the most critical area, postponing less urgent responses. D. Implement a rigid step-by-step protocol without flexibility. Answer A. Assign a central command structure to coordinate efforts and communication. Explanation. A clear command structure ensures streamlined coordination, preventing miscommunication and resource overlap. Emergency situations require structured leadership to maintain efficiency. Option B is incorrect because decentralized teams may create further inefficiencies. Option C is incorrect because ignoring other affected areas can worsen the situation. Option D is incorrect because rigid protocols lack adaptability in dynamic crises. Question 22. When improving a process that shows unexpected results, what is the best way to identify the underlying issue? A. Conduct. A root cause analysis to pinpoint the source of inconsistencies. B. Implement a new system immediately to replace the flawed process. C. Adjust parameters randomly until the issue is resolved. D. Assign blame to the team responsible and enforce stricter guidelines. Answer: A. Conduct a root cause analysis to pinpoint the source of inconsistencies. Explanation: understanding the root cause prevents recurring issues and ensures a long-term fix rather than a temporary workaround. Data-driven diagnostics lead to more effective solutions. Option B is incorrect because replacing systems without analysis may not solve the real problem. Option C is incorrect because trial and error wastes time and resources. Option D is incorrect because assigning blame does not solve systemic issues. Question 23. In a scenario where efficiency decreases across multiple operations, what is the most effective approach to restoring performance? A. Increase workforce hours to compensate for inefficiencies. B. Identify and remove bottlenecks in the operational flow. C. Replace existing teams with new personnel. D. Enforce stricter performance monitoring. Answer: B. Identify and remove bottlenecks in the operational flow. Explanation: bottlenecks are often the main cause of inefficiencies. Removing them allows smooth workflow. Optimizing the process is more effective than just working harder. Option is incorrect because increasing hours does not solve the underlying issue. Option C is incorrect because replacing personnel does not guarantee improvement. Option D is incorrect because stricter monitoring does not necessarily enhance efficiency. Question 24. During a major transformation where existing methods are being replaced, resistance to change emerges among employees. What is the best strategy to encourage adoption? A. Mandate compliance with strict consequences for resistance. B. Provide clear communication, training, and involvement opportunities. C. Ignore resistance and continue with the transformation. D. Delay the transformation to minimize disruption. Answer: B. Provide clear communication, training, and involvement opportunities. Explanation: engaging employees reduces resistance and increases commitment to the new system. Change management strategies enhance successful transitions. Option is incorrect because forced compliance creates resentment. Option C is incorrect because ignoring resistance leads to further disengagement. Option D is incorrect because delays prolong uncertainty. Question 25. When implementing new protocols in a shared environment, teams express concerns about disruptions to their workflow. What is the most effective way to ensure a smooth transition? A. Roll out the new protocols immediately and require teams to adjust. B. Implement a phased approach with training and feedback mechanisms. C. Allow each team to decide whether they want to follow the new protocols. D. Assign a dedicated task force to enforce compliance without discussion. Answer: B. Implement a phased approach with training and feedback mechanisms. Explanation: a phased approach ensures teams can adapt gradually while receiving training and support. Gathering feedback helps refine the protocols based on real-world implementation challenges. Option is incorrect because a sudden rollout may create confusion and resistance. Option C is incorrect because inconsistent adoption leads to inefficiencies and lack of standardization. Option D is incorrect because strict enforcement without discussion reduces morale and buy-in. Question 26. While analyzing the root causes of sequential problems in a production system, an analyst discovers that errors increase under specific conditions. What should be the first step in addressing this issue? A. Increase monitoring to detect errors more quickly. B. Identify and isolate the conditions that lead to errors. C. Replace employees working under those conditions. D. Reduce production speed to minimize errors. Answer: B. Identify and isolate the conditions that lead to errors. Explanation: understanding when and why errors occur is critical for designing effective solutions. Root cause analysis helps eliminate issues permanently rather than just mitigating symptoms. Option is incorrect because monitoring alone does not solve the underlying issue. Option C is incorrect because personnel replacement does not address systemic problems. Option D is incorrect because reducing speed only delays rather than prevents errors. Question 27. In a situation where resource allocation becomes increasingly difficult due to competing demands, what is the most strategic approach? A. Allocate resources equally to avoid favoritism. B. Prioritize projects that align with long-term organizational goals. C. Base resource allocation on historical project success rates. D. Rotate resources periodically to ensure fairness. Answer: B. Prioritize projects that align with long-term organizational goals. Explanation: strategic allocation ensures that high-impact projects receive necessary support. Aligning resources with long-term goals maximizes efficiency and effectiveness. Option is incorrect because equal distribution ignores varying project importance. Option C is incorrect because past success does not guarantee future relevance. Option D is incorrect because rotating resources may disrupt continuity and productivity. Question 28. During a seamless transition where continuity must be maintained, what is the best way to minimize disruptions? A. Overcommunicate expectations and provide real-time support. B. Change processes immediately and require adaptation. C. Allow employees to figure out changes independently. D. Delay changes until full certainty is achieved. Answer A. Overcommunicate expectations and provide real-time support. Explanation: clear communication reduces confusion and ensures alignment across teams. Real-time support allows immediate issue resolution, improving confidence in the transition. Option B is incorrect because sudden changes increase uncertainty and resistance. Option C is incorrect because lack of guidance leads to inconsistent adoption. Option D is incorrect because indefinite delays hinder progress and innovation. Question 29. While updating traditional approaches where interconnections exist between multiple teams, what is the best strategy to ensure a successful transition? A. Implement a standardized system across all teams without adjustments. B. Allow each team to update their own processes independently. C. Develop a collaborative update process that accounts for interdependencies. D. Focus only on modernizing the most outdated processes. Answer: C. Develop a collaborative update process that accounts for interdependencies. Explanation: collaboration ensures that all interconnected teams adapt effectively. A well-coordinated transition prevents disruptions in workflow and maintains efficiency. Option is incorrect because rigid standardization may not fit each team's needs. Option B is incorrect because independent updates can create inconsistencies. Option D is incorrect because selective modernization ignores the bigger picture. Question 30. In a multi-location scenario where consistency requirements must be met, what is the most effective way to ensure uniform standards? A. Allow each location to operate independently while following broad guidelines. B. Develop a centralized oversight system with location-specific adaptability. C. Standardize every process identically across all locations. D. Enforce strict compliance measures with no exceptions. Answer: B. Develop a centralized oversight system with location-specific adaptability. Explanation: a hybrid approach balances standardization and flexibility, ensuring consistency without limiting operational efficiency. Local adaptations accommodate differences in market conditions, regulations, and team structures. Option is incorrect because excessive autonomy may lead to deviations from key standards. Option C is incorrect because full standardization ignores local operational differences. Option D is incorrect because rigid enforcement reduces adaptability and innovation.